Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Brenman, president here at Mo Vacation, joined today by our good friend Gina Canseco from Collette Vacations. We've got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to kind of go over the the kind of the schedule, I guess, is what I'm trying to get out real quick. I'm going to talk real quick about Moa Vacations, what makes us unique, and why we should be your travel agency of choice for all your vacation travel. I am going to go over real quick the 9 groups we have. Then I'm going to turn it over to Gina. Gina's going to talk a little bit about Collette, go into a couple of the tours, and then we end with a Q&A. So at any time during either my talk or Gina's talk, if you have any questions, there is a little kind of conversation bubble at the bottom that says, I guess it has a question mark in it, and it says Q&A. Just type your questions in there. I'll be answering during Gina's presentation, but we'll revisit them all at the end of the Q&A as well. If you don't see that little Q&A bubble, on the far right, there's a little circle with 3 dots in it that says more. If you click on that, that'll give you more of the icons on the bottom, and then you'll see that Q&A. We are recording today's webinar. So this evening, you'll get an email of this webinar. You can revisit anything of import. For example, if myself or more likely Gina says anything, for example, let's say you want to revisit when she talks about the France Magnifique tour with the Normandy Beaches, just kind of make a note at what time it is. So let's say that's 30 minutes in, then rather than trying to find that, you can just fast forward to that part. Everything we're going to talk about today is for MOA members and any guests you'd like to bring with you. So if you have any family or friends that you'd like to travel with, think you'd make the trip more fun, feel free to invite them along. Feel free to share this webinar with them. So real quick, MOA Vacations. These are kind of the 4 things we always talk about when we talk about what kind of makes us unique from other travel agencies or booking direct. The first is superior service. I could talk about this forever. And if you ever travel with me, don't ask me about it at dinner. I have so many examples, but the one we kind of use just to summarize it briefly is the fact that we are and continue to be the only travel agency in the United States who offers travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And that means exactly what it sounds like. If you have any issue either before or during your trip, you reach out to us and we get that resolved. The industry kind of norm, if you've ever had a problem before, like you contact the guest relations or whatever, is 6 to 8 weeks. We try to get back with you and have it resolved to your satisfaction within 48 hours. And I do that, and I'm able to do that because of our partnerships with people such as Gina, that if you have an issue, Gina and I get together and we get it resolved. We do guarantee the lowest price. We do have what we call our MOA exclusive amenity program. Collette participates in that. In most tours, you'll get an additional $50 off. There are a couple of the longer ones. I think they're all in Australia and New Zealand, where that is actually increased to $100 per person. So in addition to guaranteeing the lowest price, with Collette, you'll actually always have a price that's lower than the lowest price. And then, of course, what we're going to talk about in large part today is the opportunity to travel with your fellow MOA members from around the country. About half the people who contact us for assistance in vacation planning specifically ask that. For example, I might be thinking that I want to do, national parks next year. I will call MOA Vacation. I'll get my travel professional on the phone and say, hey, I want to do national parks. Are there any MOA group opportunities? And then the consultant comes back and says, yes, we have this departure. Now, that won't always work for people because we only have one date for national parks, as you'll see in a minute. And keep in mind, when we kind of go through these, if there's a tour that has your interest, but the dates of the MOA group don't work for you, or you prefer to go on another date, all of these tours are offered on multiple dates. So for example, the France Magnifique with the Normandy Beaches, our group is in June, but let's say you'd rather go at the end of the summer or early fall, we can absolutely do that as well. And then, as Gina will probably mention, they have hundreds of tour options to all over the world. So if we go through this and you think to yourself, you know what, I'd like to do, a different destination once again, give us a call. We're going to get you the guaranteed lowest price. In fact, a price lower than the lowest price on any Collette tour that you take. So, real quick, I wanted to go through this. This is a list of the 9 groups we currently have for 2026. I think in the email invitation, we mentioned we were going to try going through 5 of them. When Gina and I were kind of going through this, there's just not enough time to go through 5 of these tours in details. So I'm going to run through these real quick. So Iceland's Magical Northern Lights. This tour is specifically designed so you see the Northern Lights if that's something on your bucket list. We've already done a webinar that covers this where Gina went through day by day. So if you're interested in this one, let us know and we can send you that webinar, and then you can just fast forward to the point and watch that. Same with Cultural Treasures of Japan. This is Tokyo to Osaka. It's a fantastic tour. Once again, if you wanted more information on this, Gina's already done a presentation on it. We can send that to you and you can view her going through day by day. And yeah, you won't be able to ask questions live, but you can certainly email or call us and we can get you answers to any questions you might have on it. America's 250th. For those who don't know, next year is the semi-quincentennial. This is a fantastic tour. Once again, we've already done a webinar on this. In fact, I think we have 2 webinars where Gina's gone through this already. It's if you're feeling patriotic, you should really look at this. It's Boston to DC. You also, on the way, you stop in New York and you stop in Philly. So you literally stop in like the 4 biggest cities when we think of the creation of this country. It has some great stops along the way. You're going to stop at West Point, Valley Forge, Arlington, and Mount Vernon. And it's designed to celebrate the semi-quincentennial. Okay, and so mention those first 3, we already have webinars on them. So if you want more information on them, you can get it. The next 2 we're going to go over today. The first is France Magnifique. It includes the Normandy Beaches. I'm not going to say a lot about that because Gina's going to go through that in details. The next one, British Landscapes. We're also going to go over this one today. This is the date of this was set up so you will be able to attend the military tattoo in Edinburgh. I know that's on a lot of people's bucket list. So those 2 we're going to go over in kind of a lot of detail today. The next 3, Tuscany National Parks in Greece, we have another webinar coming up in October. And in that October webinar, Gina's going to go through all of these day by day. They're kind of later in the year, so it gives you a little bit more time. But we'll talk about them real quick. Spotlight on Tuscany. For those who don't know, the Collette Spotlight tours are a little different than the standard kind of, escorted motor coach tour that you're thinking of, in the fact that the entire tour, you stay in one hotel in one city. And then the excursions kind of like spokes of a wheel go out from there. The nice part of it is you get a really in-depth look at Tuscany because you're exploring Tuscany every day. And then the other thing is you arrive, they transfer you to your hotel, you're at that hotel for the duration of the tour, and then at the end of the tour, you go to the hotel and you're transferred home. So kind of a different kind of escorted tour. You're still on the motor coach, but that would be getting up in the morning, you get on the motor coach and you go out and sightseeing for the day. I mean, I don't know if Gina wants to jump in and say anything about them, but they're a completely different kind of escorted land tour. Gina, anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. So with our spotlight tours, they're great if you're somebody that likes to just unpack once and still get that touring aspect. So with Spotlight on Tuscany, I really it's one of our top sellers, and the reason for that is it's going to take you to all those places throughout Tuscany. Those cities that you want to visit when you go to Tuscany, while also just having to unpack and have everything everything taken care of for you with all your excursions. So we're going to go visit San Giammano. We're going to go visit Lucca. We're going to go to some wineries, have some great food, all while having everything included and your transfer. So you just kind of get to sit back and relax, sip on some wine while you've got a designated driver with you the whole entire time. So it's our spotlights are very, very unique with having the only one hotel and making sure everything's taken care of for you from start to finish.
There you go. Yeah, and it once again, it's kind of different. So if you didn't even know that was possible, I don't know of another tour company who even offers this kind of tour. So if you're looking to see an area or a region, but once again, as Gina said, you don't like packing and unpacking, give us a call. At the very last slide, you'll see we have our email address and our phone number. But reach out, get one of our travel consultants and just say, hey, is there a spotlight to here, or wherever it is you want to go. National Parks of America, fantastic tour. We've seen a pretty big upswing in domestic travel in the past few years. A lot of people realizing that there's a lot of great things to see in this country. So we have America's 250th, obviously, which is kind of an East Coast, historical adventure, and then we have national parks. Greek Island Hopper. This is a tour, very, very popular with guests of Collette. We've actually done this group in the past. So those three, Tuscany, national parks, and Greece, we have a webinar coming up in October, and Gina will go through those day by day. But if you don't want to wait until October, all of these, if you didn't know, and when the invitation was there, we have a website, or Collette has done a website for all of these groups. And so we'll include that again in the email we send tonight, where we have, like, here's the webinar. So not only can you hear about these tours, you can click on, and all the information is at your fingertips. A day-by-day itinerary, what's going to be every day, everything else. Not as enjoyable as Gina describing it, but up until that October webinar, it's a possibility. And then the last one, Irish Splendor, who if you have not been to Ireland, it's got to be on your bucket list. Once again, this is one that we've done in a previous webinar. So if you want information on Irish Splendor, just drop us an email or give us a call, and we can send you the webinar, and we can say, 40 minutes in, or it's probably not going to be an even number, 38 minutes and 30 seconds in is where the day-by-day overview of Gina of this tour is. And then you can actually watch that presentation. So our thought, as I said, just to kind of recap, is today when Gina and I were going through this and doing test runs, we're running way, way long. So the first thing we said is, okay, 4 of them we've already done, so we don't need to do them again. And then we had 5 left, and we know there's a lot of interest in Normandy. We know there's a lot of interest in the Edinburgh Tattoo, so we decided, plus they're the next 2, right, the closest departure dates. So I'm gonna turn it over to Gina in just a second. I promise I'm gonna turn it over to Gina, because I know people didn't log in to listen to me chat. But so we're gonna go over those 2 now, and then the next 3, we have the websites already, but there'll be another Collette webinar in October where we're going to go over Tuscany National Parks and Greek Isles, Greek Island Hopper. And once again, when I say we, it's not going to be we. Gina's going to go through them day by day. So I see we've already got some questions, so I'm going to turn my camera off because I cannot read without my reading glasses, and mute myself. But I will be here answering questions during Gina's presentation. And when she gets done, I'm going to hop back on again, and then the 2 of us are going to answer all of your questions. You will note, hopefully, that we list both a double and a single price for all of these tours. So we do have single rates. We know there's 60,000 plus solo travelers in MOA. And then the other thing would be is, since we have MOA members coming from all across the country, none of the rates listed include airfare. Gina, are you going to talk about your sedan service?
Yes, I will.
Okay, then she's going to talk more about if you book your air through Collette. So of course you have the option of booking your air through Collette. You can come to MOA Vacations for help. People book themselves online, but when you hear about the sedan service, I really think it's something you should consider. It really is going to take your vacation to the next level. I'm not going to say any more. I don't want to steal Gina's thunder, but it's one of the things that they do that other tour companies don't do that I think is absolutely amazing. So, Gina, It is your turn. So
All
anyway,
right.
Gina Canseco with Collette, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to tell you about some wonderful tours and that we're going to do a heavy focus on some really amazing tours to France and then the British landscapes. And those are really great to do next year. Is it also you're going to see some touches on as we're going to be celebrating next year, the America's 250th anniversary. What better time to dive into the history and that we touch on in each of these countries. So um, for those of you who I don't know, my name's Gina Canseco, Business Development Manager here with Collette. Been with the company a little over 3 years, and I can't tell you how much I absolutely love my job. Really, not only getting to travel myself, but really getting to be here and share love for exploring new destinations, exploring and experiencing different cultures, and really, most importantly, creating unforgettable memories. So, I truly believe that travel is the best way to connect with people that you already have things in common with. So before we dive into the tours itself, I want to tell you a little bit about who you're going to be traveling with before we dive into the tours itself. So for those of you who are not familiar with Colette, you may have heard of us before. We are on Wheel of Fortune. We are the company that gives away the free trips on there. So you may have heard of us there, as well as we partner with Hallmark as well, and also AARP. So may sound familiar to you as well. And like I said, I want to make sure that you're familiar and you know what to expect when you travel with us and why we think that you should travel with us. So, if you've never been on an escorted tour with Colette or just on a escorted tour at all, what you can expect with us is we always want to make sure that you are really your only thoughts when you travel with us should be making memories. We really want to make it a seamless experience from start to finish. We don't want you to have to wake up and wonder how you're going to start your day, where you're going to park your car, where you're going to stay, what you're going to do for the day. We want to make sure that all of your experiences are going to be included for you, as well as getting to touch on the local culture. So we want to include the must-sees of what you want to see in a destination, but we also want to um, really engage with the local culture. So really not just getting one or the other. And with that, you're also going to have 4-star accommodations all along the way, 4 to 5 star accommodations. And another way that we make it easy on you is we'll handle all of your baggage for you. So when you see that we're moving from hotel to hotel on our itineraries, you just need to think that, you're really just going to be sit back and relax. You're going to take that 50-pound bag, set it right outside your hotel room door when you wake up, and then we're going to come get it for you, take it down to the bus, and take it to your next hotel. So really the only thoughts when you're on tour should really just be um, experiencing and really thinking of it about it as thoughtless travel. We're going to take care of all the details. You're not going to have to be waiting in line when we go see these sites and attractions. We really want you to be making the most out of your day. And in the destination that you are visiting, we really want you to be able to make the most of it and experience, make the most of your time. So you'll see that we have great things included for you. And also, as I said, the must-sees, but we also want to include things that you really wouldn't think of when you're visiting somewhere that is really going to set it apart for you. We are the oldest tour operator in the United States. We are going to be celebrating our 108th season of travel soon. So rest assured when you travel with us that you are traveling with a company that has a lot of brand equity in the marketplace, as well as our tours being designed by travelers for travelers like yourself. I want to share a quick little video with you. with somebody from our leadership team, Diana, who's going to really kind of give you an overview of what really sets us apart in the marketplace. Because we don't like to compare ourselves to other tour operators. We like to look at as a premium experience when you travel with Collette. So let's take a look here.
Like many other industries, the guided touring space is evolving. And like other industries, there are leaders of that evolution, and then there's the rest. As you'll see, Collette is leading an evolution in touring that is critical to understand. But before diving into the details, let's first take a look at some of the pain points that are often associated with guided touring. These are the stereotypes of guided touring in a nutshell. Inauthentic experiences, go pacing, and seeing a destination from the seat of a motor coach. The thing that's interesting about stereotypes is they're often rooted in some degree of truth. And the truth is, many tour operators bring these stereotypes to life every single day. At Collette, the primary focus of our product design philosophy has been to break these stereotypes. We've had to. Our travelers are demanding it. The result is Collette's premium experience. For years, guided travel has been limited to standard or luxury operators. We are offering an alternative. The Collette Premium Experience pairs industry-leading service with a distinctive and unmatched approach to product design. Our premium experience is rooted in breaking the stereotypes that most tour operators perpetuate, and superior service that is unrivaled in the guided travel space. When we say superior service, we mean a level of service travelers cannot get anywhere else. It is best exemplified by our industry-leading travel protection plan that allows travelers to cancel for any reason up until the day before their departure. When they cancel, they're refunded their original form of payment, never a voucher. Superior service also means a transportation package that sets the stage for a seamless journey. Private, round-trip, home-to-airport chauffeur service means your trip starts right at your door. Our 24/7 emergency response team ensures that in the event of a crisis, the traveler is in the most trusted hands in the industry. Our travelers tell us all the time. They felt confident knowing Colette's team of experts was there for them every step of the way. The Collette Premium Experience also means a product that exceeds the unique and evolving needs of the modern traveler. With Collette, there's no middleman between our brand promise and the traveler's experience. We handcraft our tours because we wouldn't trust our traveler's experience to anyone else. Our travelers don't want a stereotypical group tour. That's why we spend the least amount of time on the motor coach. It's why we prioritize opportunities to meaningfully engage with people and culture. It's why we minimize one-night stays in favor of more time to explore. Why we wake up in igloos, travel by Zodiac, and cook with locals. Why every day is new and different. The best service in the industry, the most curated product design philosophy, trust, expertise. We've been travelers since 1918, so we get it. That's the Collette Premium Experience.
I just really love that video. I think it really sums up what we do best and how we make sure that you're taken care of every step of the way. As Diana had mentioned on that video and John mentioned at the beginning, we want to make it that seamless experience start to finish. And one way we do that is with our door-to-door sedan service. If you live within 50 miles of over 90 different airports, you are covered we will pick you up right at your house, take you to the airport so you don't have to worry about parking or anything like that. And that's also going to include your internal transfers. So you've got your Collette representative waiting for you upon arrival as soon as you get out of customs at the airport. So it's really just a nice little extra cherry on top. One other thing that you don't have to worry about. So if you are interested in booking our air on any of our tours, just contact one of your Mo advisors and they can be sure to reach out and we can get you quoted on doing that and seeing if that's within if it's offered at your airport as well. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first tour. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so we can really focus on all the beauty of the tours that we are going to talk about. So, first one is going to be France Magnifique. This is going to be a 12-day tour, 16 meals included. And this is going to be June 25th through July 6th of 2026. And this is actually when I started at Collette about 3 years ago. They told me, they said, hey, we know you just started 2 weeks ago, but we're going to take you on a tour so you can really get to see what our product looks like. And this was the first tour I got to do with Collette. So I've got some personal experience of all of the things that you're going to get to see and do, from seeing going to different royal courts and castles and staying in different chateaus and really immersing right into the French culture. And as well as some great food, and of course, seeing the famous Eiffel Tower and the beaches of Normandy. So just to give you an idea of what the tour looks like, so we are going to have our overnight flight, and then we go right into Versailles, where you'll be for your first 2 nights. The pacing's really, really nice on this. As you see, we don't have any one-night stays. Um, and then we go on to Cannes, and then we will be in Cannes for 2 nights. And then we are going on to Saint Malo for another 2 nights, and then on to the beautiful Loire Valley. And then we end our journey in Paris for 2 nights. So we measure our activity levels on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the most active. This is going to be a level 3. So the way we describe a level 3 is walking for up to 2.5 miles at a moderate pace is not going to be an issue for you. Climbing, 3 flights of stairs at a moderate pace is not going to be an issue for you. As you know, in Europe, they do not have ADA requirements like we do here. So sometimes you may see we're going upstairs that may not have a railing on it. So it's just something to keep in mind. And of course, you're going to be walking on different terrains, from cobblestone streets, maybe some uneven surfaces, and that's not going to be an issue for you. But keep in mind, this is going to be moderately paced. We do, although we may be covering several miles over the course of a day, we're also going to be taking breaks in between. So we'll make sure that everybody's rested and that it's going to be very doable for you. But we just want to make sure that you are aware of all of the expectation, because like on this tour specifically, when we visit Mont St. Michael. We are walking on some cobblestone streets, and there are a little bit more steeper inclines, no handrails, as I mentioned. And then when we visit the Abbey, there are almost 350 steps that we have to go in order to access all of the sites. So just something to keep in mind. If you ever have any specific questions on activity level, feel free to reach out to your MO advisor, and we'll make sure to make sure you are all set and prepared and know what to expect. So we start with a overnight flight where we are going to head into France, where we're going to get to experience some wonderful history, of course, beautiful art and culture, and the amazing romance of the celebrated cities here, as well as visiting some historical sites and charming towns. So we are going to start with Versailles, where we will, as soon as you arrive, you're going to have the day to kind of get settled in. Before that evening, we will get to meet with all of your fellow travelers. This is one of our classic tours, so you can expect to have up to 44 people in the group, maximum average around 35 to 38. So just something to keep in mind. But so we'll start that first evening off when we meet in Versailles for dinner. And here we are gonna, of course, have some wonderful cuisine as you get to know your fellow travelers that you are going to be spending the next few days with in France. We're staying at a absolutely beautiful hotel chateau here for your first 2 nights, and it is great hotel because it is just steps away from the lively downtown, and of course the famous historical monument, and offers just that real French elegance and comfort, and more of a boutique hotel that's, as I said, just steps away from everything, so you can go out on your own when you have some free time, do some exploring. And then the next day will be your first day of exploring. We are, of course, going to start with the iconic Palace of Versailles, where you are going to find yourself walking within the world's largest royal domain. We'll get to visit the entire estate, including the gardens, the grounds of the palace, and the other buildings surrounding it, surrounding over 2,000 acres. So it has about 2,300 rooms. And so we're going to get to do some exploring of all of the castle. And then you'll also have some free time on your own after we have a guide, a local guide, take you through. And then we'll give you some time on your own to do some exploring. Maybe if you are wanting to spend more time in some of the gardens, see some more of the rooms, completely up to you. But some of the things that you're going to get to see, we're going to get to see the private apartment of King Louis XIV, who transformed his father's hunting lodge into this amazing palace. And you'll get to see the actual seat of the royal court. And then, like I said, you'll get to visit independently. And get to see some of these more French crown jewels. And as I said, the gardens here are just so amazing. That is really where I spent most of my time when I was here. The famous Baroque fountains. They are just absolutely beautiful, and they also play to the tune of classical music. So it's really just kind of relaxing to be sitting by there and just see all of the beauties that surround here with the manicured walkways and architectural gardens and fountains. And then the next day, we are going to journey on to the Normandy region, where the first stop we are going to visit is Monet's Garden. So, this is, of course, a very colorful living work of art. That is Monet's Garden, where you'll get to see the source of the artist's inspiration, including the setting for his iconic water lilies, and get to learn about a little bit more of the history and get to stand in that real-time beauty of pictures that we've seen all of our life. Then we're going to set off to the rich pasture lands of Normandy and the city of Cannes, I'm sorry, where you will get to stay for your next 2 nights. So we'll start off with dinner here in a historic commune, which has a lot of history as well. Deeply, deeply intertwined with World War II. So as you know, that Cannes is deeply known for its role in the Battle of Normandy, but it also is known for its close ties to William the Conqueror. So we're going to get to learn a little bit more about the history of that, dive into that. And then the next morning, we are going to get to do some more exploring, where we will go to the D-Day sites. We are going to go to the Duhawk Ranger Memorial, where you'll get to witness the 2nd Ranger Battalion, which scales over 100-foot cliffs. So it actually absolutely beautiful, while also getting to learn about the history, which, countless Americans on Omaha and Utah beaches here, and get to stand there right below your feet. This is such an amazing experience. As I said, this was my first Collette tour and really, really made me grow my love for guided touring, getting to not only walk the grounds, but just learning all of the history of what our fellow Americans like yourself, gave up for our country, and the people we lost in visiting all of these historic places. And then visiting the Normandy American Cemetery and Visitor Center, where you will get to see the famous stars and stripes that proudly fly above the graves of all of the soldiers that gave their life during the Battle of Normandy, where you will get to see all of the graves of almost 10,000 American troops who lost their lives there on D-Day, and getting to, as I said, standing before the rows of those white crosses, really kind of makes you remember and um, remember of all of those people that gave everything in the pursuit of liberty for us here. So although it may be somber, it really is an important thing that I think all Americans should get to experience. And then we will also get to see the Aeromonac Les Bonds, where you will get to see the remains of the one of World War II's greatest engineering feats, which was the artificial mulberry port. And you will get to see where the Allies, this was built by the Allies to supply their lines during the liberation of France, where they will get to see that firsthand, and which is now actually a seaside resort town. So also standing among lots of beauty, but getting to learn about the area's deep connection with Western Europe's liberation. And then we go on to the Can Memorial Museum, which is really, really neat when you go through here because you get to see a lot of interactive videos. There's a room that you can go in that has a like a 20-minute video that you can watch. And then there's also a lot of places here, not only the museum, but really offering you lots of reflection, education, and different perspectives, and listen to the people tell the difficult stories of the 20th century history. And then after that, we are going to make our way onto the next leg of your journey. After some free time to enjoy some lunch on your own, we're going to pause and go over to a local family farm where you're going to get a taste of Normandy's cider making tradition. Here we will get to tour the farm's orchards. We'll get to visit the cider house, and then, of course, get to indulge and sample some of the cider products. And then you will have some time on your own to explore the medieval streets and get to know the famous coastal village here that has beautiful beaches and that striking blue water and views of the fortified old town. And then the next day, we are in for another treat where we are going to visit a truly unique destination known as a part-time island of the sorts. It's very storied. It's just absolutely remarkable visiting here. Also known as the Wonder of the West. This rests right on the border between Normandy and Brittany. And this is a very famous pilgrimage that sits right on the edge and transforms into an island at high tide. So it's really unique to kind of see nature throughout the day as it changes and the tide goes up. So once we make our way back to St. Malo, you'll get to spend the evening recharging in your hotel, or you can choose to kind of peel back some of the layers of this port city. Whether you want to just meander on the waterfront, see some of the views, wander through some of the romantic streets of the old town, or just unwind with a glass of wine, the evening will be yours. And then the next day, we are going to venture inland. So we are going to make our way south to the Loire Valley, where you are going to get to see some beautiful chateaus and parks, which truly this town feels like you are really stepping into a fairy tale. It's so quiet here too. So you kind of, when I was there, it kind of felt like we were the only ones there, just doing some exploring around all of the hills and different winding waterways and hundreds of castles. It's a very quaint, picturesque town where you'll get to do some exploring on your own. And then we are going to make our way to the village of Shannon, which is a town known for both of its wine and medieval history. This is where the Joan of Arc first met young Charles. And we will get to learn about the defeat of the English during the Hundred Years' War, and get to see some more of the amazing chateaus, and then also give you the opportunity to visit the beautiful markets here, which has some fresh produce, um, amazing flowers, local products, give you some time to kind of take and enjoy lunch, grab some souvenirs, and if you'd like, sit along the banks of the Vienne River. And then next, we are going to visit a family-owned run winery, where we will get to explore the organic estate that has been passed through many, many generations. We'll get to tour and discover some of the Loire Valley's best wines. And also get to see all of the artistry, skills, and passion of the family that runs this place, all while getting a taste of the amazing wine.
Je vous souhaite la bienvenue au domaine de Noiret. Nous sommes à Chinon, dans le Val-de-Loire. Nous avons la chance d'avoir un vignoble qui est plus que millénaire, avec deux cépages réputés, dont l'un est le Cabernet Franc, qui représente 97% de la production, un cépage rouge, et un autre cépage blanc, qui est le Chenin blanc, qui représente 3% de la production. Nous sommes tout près de la forteresse de Chinon, donc à 2 km à vol d'oiseau. Le domaine de Noiret était déjà très réputé au XIIe siècle, lorsque l'un des rois, Henri II Plantagenet, roi d'Angleterre, est venu dans la région. Ensuite, plusieurs rois sont passés ici, et donc évidemment ça a créé une activité pour le vignoble qui a favorisé son développement au fil du temps. C'est un domaine actuellement qui représente 16 hectares de vignes. Nous avons la chance d'avoir 3 types de sols avec le même cépage, ce qui donne une très belle diversité et originalité. Les argiles qui donnent un vin croquant gourmand sur le fruit, les calcaires qui donnent des vins beaucoup plus complexes, un peu plus tanniques et qui ont une belle capacité de vieillissement, et les graves qui donnent des notes de fruits noirs avec une très belle souplesse en bouche. Nous sommes évidemment en biodynamie au niveau culturel. Ça nous semble extrêmement important de respecter au mieux la vie de nos sols, assurer l'avenir, la pérennité de nos sols pour les générations futures, le respect de notre planète et également le respect du plaisir que l'on peut avoir à déguster.
For the sake of time, I'm going to leave the rest of this video and leave some to surprise. As you also, your tour manager speaks full English, so they will also be there to translate everything for you as well. But just kind of gets to show you the true culture and local culture that you're going to be experiencing here when you get to visit this family-run winery. And then later in the afternoon, we are gonna start to feel like royalty as we arrive at your accommodations for the next couple days. The Chateau Beauvoir is truly a storybook and one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen, that sets right on the back here where there's some beautiful gardens. And this mansion is such a unique place to stay at. You really just kind of feel like you're really stepping back in time. This was a location of one of King Louis in the 17th century, where he would come here and stay for game hunting parties. And so you'll actually get the opportunity to somebody may even of your group be getting to stay in one of their rooms as well. So not it's a really intimate and unique place to get to stay and not only witness all the heritage here, but also become part of the heritage yourself. And the next morning, we will wake up and get to do some more exploring of the chateau here, where you are going to get to see another beautiful castle and get to explore some more of the Renaissance architecture. Has absolutely lovely natural setting here. Kind of feels like a storybook, where you'll get to see all of the valleys. There's some amazing, even more amazing gardens that you're going to get to see. As I said, I love the garden, so I spent a lot of time out there after going and exploring the castle. It's just absolutely beautiful grounds and tailed with lots and lots of history. And then we are going to head to the center of Amboise, where you will get to see a commune, which was once the royal residence of the French kings, and the retirement home of Leonardo da Vinci, where you will get to meet this cute little Loire Valley town, and get to explore here and have some lunch on your own. Then you'll have some free time all on your own to do some exploring, as I said. So whether you want to venture back to the castle or visit Da Vinci's home or just simply walk through the town, many wonderful things to do. And then we are going to next day for the grand finale of your adventure. We are going to leave the countryside and head to the City of Light, Paris. Here we are going to pause for lunch, where we will eat at a modern bistro before gliding under the city's romantic bridges during a scenic cruise along the Seine, which is such a fun thing to do at night too, because you get to see the Eiffel Tower sparkling and kind of get to see the city from a different perspective. And then from the calm waters, then we wander on to see the Gothic architecture and the soaring towers of the Notre Dame Cathedral. And we'll also get to pass the famous Concierge, which was once the royal palace before becoming a French Revolution prison and courthouse. And then we will get to behold this natural island that is a haven within Paris, kind of separates the metropolis by water, and connects by bridges, and kind of gives you that lovely village feel, which is kind of a unique feeling when you're in such a big city like Paris, and it's completed with boutiques and cafes and quaint little streets and kind of a charming little getaway that steps away from Paris's hustle and bustle. And later that evening, be yours to do as you choose. Or we have a optional cabaret show at Paradise Latin. This is a pre-sold optional dinner that's included, as well as a can kicking and music-driven night, where you can experience one of Paris's true and oldest cabarets along with dinner. And then the next day will be yours to do as you choose. So on your final full day in France, this is something choice on tour, no extra cost out of your pocket to do one or the other. You can either choose to take in some of the most iconic sites on a panoramic city tour with a local guide, or you can choose to step in the shoes of a local and navigate the metro on your way, where we'll go over to a hilltop neighborhood and get to overlook all of Paris, where you'll get to see a past home of many different iconic and inspiring artists here, and also have some lunch. Then you'll have some free time to take in the city as you please. And then our evening is filled with a absolutely iconic way to end your time in Paris, where you get to celebrate the conclusion of your French voyage, where we are going to have an exclusive dinner at the Eiffel Tower. And here you are going to get to have some amazing French cuisine and, of course, panoramic views of the entire city of light, all from inside the Eiffel Tower. So this is just such a unique experience. One of those things that you wouldn't be able to get outside of going on a tour with us. It's absolutely lovely. Getting to celebrate your last night with your fellow travelers. So if you are interested in this tour, you can visit the MOA website, which we'll post here at the end after we talk about this last tour, the British landscapes. But this is, again, reminder, June 12th through July 6th of 2026, 12-day tour. And we're looking at a double occupancy price of land price of $49.99 and single occupancy $62.99. All right, and the last tour we are going to be talking about is British Landscapes, which is also going to be featuring the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. This is going to be a 10-day tour, including 12 meals, and will be right over, of course, Military Tattoo, August 16th through the 25th. And we will start with an overnight flight before we make our way to Edinburgh for your first 2 nights. And then we stop in York before we make our way to Chester. And then we are going to head to Shakespeare's hometown, Stratford, and then ending your journey in London. This one's going to be a little bit slower paced at a level 2, where we describe as walking over 2 miles at a relaxed pace is not going to be an issue for you. You know, at least 2 flights of stairs we have on this tour, going up to the Edinburgh Castle. You'll have some steep inclines and things like that. So if you have any specific questions on activity level, feel free to reach out. And we are going to start your journey right in Edinburgh, where you will get to explore the historic capital of Scotland. And the first night, we will get to enjoy a welcome dinner with your fellow travelers before we kick off the next day, exploring for your next adventures. Our hotel here is going to be in Old Town, and it offers amazing views of the castle. So also very close by to everything. So if you get there and want to get settled in, you've got everything kind of at your fingertips. And then the next morning, we'll wake up and we are going to get to do some exploring of Edinburgh. So, getting to start to uncover some of that stunning architecture, passing through on those cobblestone streets where you're going to get to see both the old and new town areas, and get to explore some of those cozy pubs and get to learn about the history and all of the amazing different architecture as we go with a walking tour of all of the alleyways and hidden passages. Then, of course, wouldn't be a visit to Edinburgh without making the walk of the Royal Mile, where we will actually get to skip the line, enter the Edinburgh Castle, where you're going to get to see all of the famous Scottish crown jewels. So we will have a local expert is going to take you through to see the castle, and then you'll have some free time on your own to do some exploring, where you'll get to see the entire castle and learn about all of the different history of each room. And as I said, this is where your activity level is going to come in. Edinburgh was built on a extinct volcano, so that's where I said you'll want to keep that in mind with the walking on this one. But that will be completely up to you. We'll make sure to set the right expectation for you the day. So you'll want to make sure you've got some comfortable walking shoes with you if you want to make your way up to the castle. And then later that evening, we are going to get to see one of the highlights of this tour, where you get to take your seat at the world famous Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo, which is one of Scotland's greatest events, which is set right in front of the Edinburgh Castle, where you'll get to see all of the men and women brought together from around the world to showcase their talent and military pomp, where you're going to get to see everything from drum corps to piping bands to dancers to drill teams, which is really unique because each year kind of brings a new theme with different entertainers. So really, really unique thing to get to see here in Edinburgh. And then the next morning, for the next leg of your trip, we are going to make our way to York, and we are going to travel like a local to get there on a local passenger train, where you're going to get to see some beautiful views along the way. And then in the afternoon, we are going to get to witness some of the intricate architecture of York Minster Abbey, where you will get to do some exploring inside the building and get to see one of the world's largest medieval Gothic cathedrals, and get to take in all of the beautiful glass stained windows and all of the beauty it has to offer before you'll have some free time later that afternoon to spend how you like, whether you want to walk down to the Shambles or do some shopping on your own, or want to dive into a little bit of the history and visit the York Castle Museum. The day is yours. And then we also do have an optional excursion if you don't mind forgoing a little bit of that free time, where if you want to indulge in a little bit of the wine here in Yorkshire, we can take you out to one of the vineyards, where you will get to see this family run vineyard and then get to sample some of the wines and also have a home cooked meal. And then we are going to depart from York, make our way to Chester, where we are going to get to stay in this ancient walled city for the next 2 nights. Although this is a very small city, it is incredibly rich with history and culture here, and is one of the longest and most completed walls in England. So this is a really, really unique place that we're staying here. Here we have a choice on tour of how you'd like to spend your day. You can join a guided tour to visit the Chester Cathedral, where you'll get to see centuries of history and amazing architecture, all in one space. Or you can choose to go along a leisurely boat ride along River Dee and then get to see some of the scenic beauty from a different perspective and give you kind of a chance to unwind. And then we are going to get you checked into your hotel in Chester, which is the Hotel Indigo, a really stylish boutique hotel right in the heart of the city. So it's really got some unique charm with famous architecture, lots of history, and like I said, perfect balance of comfort and character because it's right in the middle of everything, but really still offering that boutique experience, all surrounded with shopping districts, which are a short walk away. And then we are going to make our way to the Conway Castle, where you'll get to discover some of the history behind King Edward's the First most imposing fortresses, where you'll get to see the tower, which has those spiral staircases, get to see some of the famous monuments within, and some of the amazing architecture here. And then we are going to take a scenic drive along the beautiful countryside, where we are going to get to see the Llangollen, this town of Llangollen, where we will get to take a moment to stand on the iconic bridge and watch the fast flowing River Dee rushing beneath you. And then give you some time on your own to do some exploring, some of the cozy shops and cafes. And this is really one of those highlights that you don't think of when you visit these areas that you wouldn't think to visit while you were on your own. That's included, that we stop at, and just kind of giving you that little village cozy feel here. And then next we make our way on to Stratford-upon-Avon, which, as you know, is the home of the great William Shakespeare, where he was born and buried, where we will get to do a walking tour of the lively streets and get to soak in some of the amazing atmosphere and unique character. And then, of course, wouldn't be going to the UK without getting to indulge in a traditional English afternoon tea. And the best place to do it is at the Royal Shakespeare Company, so we'll actually get to visit the major theater company, see them perform, all while having some afternoon tea and seeing performance ranging from Shakespearean culture and modern works. And then also you'll have the chance to step into his childhood home and get to get a glimpse into the early life of one of the world's greatest writers. And then you will have some time to explore on your own before we escape to our beautiful hotel, which, as I said, really does feel like an escape amidst the culture and heritage right in this beautiful setting, small town. And then the next morning, we're going to say goodbye to Stratford and make our way to the capital, where we are going to stay in London, which is truly, truly a world within a city. So much to see and do. We've gotten a great bit of the quieter towns, but now we're going to get to see the city of London. We will, of course, start off with a walking tour of Westminster, where we will have a local guide going to take you along to see all of the famous iconic sites. We'll get to gaze up at Big Ben, go see the soaring towers of the Westminster Abbey, where you'll see where all the famous royal weddings take place, go see the famous Buckingham Palace, and just so many iconic sights to see while you are here. And we're going to take you to all of them. We'll get you settled in for your 2-night stay here in London at the Park Plaza London Riverbank, which is perfectly located right on the south bank of the Thames, and is close by to all of the top sites. So you will also has a pool here, indoor pool, and some amazing dining options as well, right in the heart of everything. And then on the next day is going to be the whole day to explore how you'd like on your own. So if you want to spend some free time on your own visiting some of the sites or riding the London Eye, if you're not afraid of heights or going to hang out in the famous Hyde Park, or visiting one of the markets, or if you don't mind forgoing a little bit of that free time, we do have an optional tour for you, where you can join in to go visit the Windsor Castle, which has been home to British monarchs for many, many centuries, and such a fascinating place to explore, which kind of offers a unique peek into both royal life, both past and present, before we make our way back, where you will get to have a farewell dinner and toast to the end of your journey through Britain's many famous landscapes. Now, if you do want to spend a little bit more time, we also have an optional extension for you, which would be a fully guided extension in Paris. So if you want to spend a little bit more time, we do have the option to do so. so if you are interested in joining on this date, which, as I said, does include the military tattoo, August 16th through the 25th, 10-day tour, we are looking at $4,099 at the double occupancy rate or $5,199 at the single occupancy rate. If you are interested in joining in either one of these tours, you can reach out to MOA Vacations at this phone number or email address.
Fantastic. Oh, Felicia? We just had a few questions. Just a reminder, everyone, we are going to send you a copy of this webinar. If you have any questions at this time, feel free to go ahead and drop those in. We had a few questions during the webinar, Gina, if you don't mind making sure I answered them correctly.
Yes, I'm trying to open
Okay,
them up
somebody
here.
asked about Iceland. I will send them Iceland. By the way, I was going through, we've actually already covered national parks in a previous webinar as well. So when I send the email, I'll make sure everybody knows that. Somebody asked about where else do the spotlight tours go? I don't know if you know those off the top of your head, but I mentioned obviously Tuscany, French Riviera, Northern Italy, South Dakota, Paris, London, and DC. Did I miss any?
Yes, those are all of them. And New York City. We
Yeah.
do. Oh, I see that one there. You mentioned that as
Oh,
well.
okay. You know what? I forgot it in the list, and then I said
Yes.
there's 4 versions of New York. Okay, so yeah, I
Yes,
meant
we
to add
have.
it. And then yeah, okay. So yeah, so Tuscany, French Riviera, Northern Italy, South Dakota, Paris, London, DC, and New York City. And there are some kind of, variants of those, I guess. For New York, I said there's New York, New York Beyond the Bridges, New York Holiday, and New York featuring Hamilton, the play. So somebody asked about the comparison of, I guess basically the question was simply, are Collette airfares competitive if compared to booking yourself? And I kind of went through this in detail, and I'll just touch on real quick what I said. First off, the airlines now have come up with these basic, cheap, bare bone fares because when somebody goes through a search engine, they want to appear at the top of the list. And these basic fares, you need to be real careful when you purchase them because they have things like no luggage included. I mean, you and I have been traveling long enough to know that it was always on international flights. You at least got the first bag free. People are used to picking their seats. And on a lot of these basic fares, if you get them, you pay from the very first bag. So you got to add $100 each way to your flight to do that. You can't pick your seat. I mean, we've had people, accidentally book these before, and they say, I want to sit next to my spouse, and the airline will not allow us to pick our seats. And it's like, yes, when they go for these absolute cheapest price in the world, it's often what they say, you get what you pay for. So you literally can book this lead-in price, but like, you can't change them, 100% cancel fee, all of those kind of things. So you need to be careful to kind of compare apples to apples. But I mentioned, if you get flights on your own, you don't have transfers from the airport. So keep in mind that, if the Collette fare looks more, what it's included. So not only does it include the transfers to and from the airport, if you use Collette Air, we get the sedan service. And then the other thing that you might want to talk about is I talked about, a lot of times now when you look at fares, they'll have like a fare and then the basic fare and then an economy fare. And then like they have it something else they call it, but that's the one that allows you to change it or, has the better terms and condition on changes and cancellations, which Collette offers on the airfare. So
Right.
I basically said, you need to make that determination on your own. If you just want to go on the absolute cheapest fare, you're planning on carrying in all your luggage, and you don't care if you sit next to the person you're flying with, there's going to be a fare lower than you can get from Collette. But most people are looking for, a reasonable flight. Anyway, anything you want to kind of add to that?
Yeah, I would just recommend that based on whichever tour you're interested in, I would check with your with the MOA Vacations advisors on specific airfares. So if you're like, hey, let's compare what it would be for me to buy my airfare on my own versus with Collette, and they can kind of tell you the differences because it varies across wherever you're going, if you're going to Australia, New Zealand, or if you're going to France, like there's going to be different airlines and as John said, different rules for each different ones. So I would recommend specifically on kind of checking in with that on where you're wanting to go,
Yeah.
specifically to get a more defined answer. But John mentioned that, yeah, you're always going to be able to find a cheaper fare, but whenever you find something cheaper, there's always going to be stipulations involved. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your change policy is like, you know, $300, I think, something like that, up to $300 after the ticket is issued. There are fares out there that you cannot change them. I mean,
Right.
it's a cancel or don't cancel. So I think it's like anything, there's no one answer. You can't say it's always better to do A as compared to B, with the exception of it's always better to book through MOA Vacation and it's always better to get a Collette tour, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, we had a question about the last question we kind of had for general question was dress code for dinners in France. And can you see what I wrote? I just
Uh,
basically said the Colette normally says their dress code. There's no formal dress code, smart and practical for evenings, special evenings, smart casual. No
we
jeans,
say
no shorts.
smart casual. Really, I mean, it's completely up to you how you want to dress. Now, I would recommend avoiding sweatpants is really
Yeah,
what I say. And when you're going to the dinner at the Eiffel Tower, you may for your final dinner want to dress up a little bit, but that's completely up to you. We're
yeah.
not going to tell you, you need to have a dress or formal wear for something if you don't want to pack that. But yeah, we don't have any
I don't think we're going to
requirements.
have shorts, t-shirts, and flip-flops from our group. So, but yeah, a lot of
Right.
time thinking, am I going to need a jacket? Am I going to need, a dress or whatever? Okay, a couple people asked us to send the links. Trip insurance is additional. David, if you'd like a quote on trip insurance, just let us know and we can get you a quote. Once again, there's kind of variables in that. If you're doing air on your own, do you even want to insure the air? If you do, you can insure it through the airline, or do you want one policy that includes both the tour and the air? Are you doing pre's and posts? And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So a lot of times there is not a set answer on that. You see the 800 number, you see the email address. Easy enough just to drop an email real quick. If you go to that mail at moavac.com, if you already have a consultant you're working with, it'll be forwarded to them. If not, Mike Tyrell, who's the VP here, who kind of runs the sales team based upon, this would be an escorted tour. So we have people that specialize in that. He'll get somebody who specializes in that, get back to you. And if you say, I'm looking at France Magnifique, what would insurance be? They can provide all that information, a quote and everything else. So anyway, we're a wee bit over. No more questions. Go ahead and close it out. Appreciate everybody for coming. When I send out the email tonight, it's going to have obviously a lot of information and all the links to all the different groups. It'll include a copy of this webinar. I'm also going to include the invitation to register for the October webinar. So if one of those ones we didn't cover today, you'd like more information on, you can go ahead and register that now as well. Other than that, Gina, you're with us back-to-back months and multiple times a year. I know you're very busy. Obviously, we went through the webinar this morning and cut it down so we get close to an hour because there's just so much to go through. But I think both of these tours are of such interest to MOA members because they're kind of military themed or military adjacent, however you want to say it. I think it was important we took the time to go through the detail you did. So thank you on behalf of everybody who attended the webinar, everybody here at MOA Vacations and MOA National. Turn it over to you, the final word.
Yes, just want to say thank you so much for being a great partner, John. We really appreciate everything you do to support these amazing travelers. And thank you, everybody, for coming today. And yes, I know we went a little bit over, but two
It's all right.
places
No,
I'm very passionate about because they're such wonderful tours. And like I said, my first tour with Collette was the France trip. So
no, you got to reminisce. No, not
yeah.
at all. As I said, I mean, we don't have a set time. We try to keep them about an hour. But yeah, if we would have gone through all 9 tours, we would have been here 3 hours. So
Right.
2.5, something like that. Anyway, all right. Thanks everyone for coming. Be on the lookout for the email, and we hope to see you on one of these tours in the future. Bye, everybody.
Bye.